Hey guys, this is the Swiss Lazy Chef again. Today I'm gonna do a French style potato gratin that I also learned when I was in the apprenticeship ages ago. And since then I've never changed that recipe because it's just so good. It takes a while as well, like the butter that I did, the herb butter that I did in one of the other movies, other videos. So since I have this big upcoming feast for around 15 people, I decided to make again a bigger quantity, which I'm gonna use 5 kilos of potatoes. And this is gonna be plus minus 3 Pyrex, big Pyrex plates or gratin plates. I'm gonna put in the oven in the end. I'm gonna do some nice things with it to present it on the table, so you can look forward to see how I'm gonna do that. Let me show you how we're gonna prepare the potato gratin that I'm making for the feast. First of all, I had to peel a lot of potatoes. I peeled today 5 kilos of potatoes because I have around 20 people that are gonna eat. I peeled them and then I cut it with this very thin device so I can make small pieces. Let me put that away. So now we have a little bit more space. Let me show you what I'm going to use as well. This one I'm going to use only a little bit in the pan so it doesn't stick too much. And then I have 4 cloves of garlic. I have 4 onions. I will going to use muscat nut. I will use pimienta, pepper, black pepper. And I'm going to use salt. And that's it. And milk. So let me prepare this for you. The first thing that I'm going to do is we're adding the oil, and I'm using a paper. I have a lot of kitchen paper that I'm using almost daily for different things. So I can clean my hands, surfaces, or also using here to distribute the oil. This oil is so the potatoes in the end don't stick too much, because this cooking of the potatoes will take around 45 minutes on slow cooking, so that is a lot of time and I do not want it to burn, so I have to cook it on a very low temperature. Plus, if I'm adding oil, this helps to not get the potatoes sticky. So now that I'm going to put the milk, you can already see it actually doesn't stick well. The oil is like a repellent for the pan. The pan I got from IKEA. It's actually my absolute favorite pan in the world. Gotta say that after 25 years of cooking, just because it is easy to use. It is very big. I can make big popcorn amounts. I can also just do meat or fish in it. It doesn't spill over because it has a high side. It is Teflon, and I buy every half a year. I buy another one just to keep it new. They're not too expensive since they're from IKEA. So I'm gonna make here 2 pans because 5 kilos wouldn't fit in one pan. So I'm splitting the garlic and I'm splitting the onions. This is for basic taste. And then I'm gonna start with adding the salt. You wanna have the milk already salted ahead. Let's just take now 2 full spoons each. I'm gonna add, let's say for now, a flat spoon of muscat nut. And I'm gonna add also pepper, a little bit less, maybe 1/3 of a spoon. And then I'm gonna add the potatoes. Actually not. The first thing that you need to do is to reheat and almost boil the milk. Like this, I'm gonna reduce the heating time with the potatoes inside, which means I reduce the chance that the potatoes are gonna burn on the floor of the pan. So I'm gonna wait here a couple of minutes until it's almost boiling. So when it starts to vapor, I'm gonna start filling up the pan with potatoes. They turned a little bit reddish because I have done it a while ago. The peeling and the cutting, and the potatoes turn a little bit in the oxygen. A little bit yellowish or a little bit reddish. You want to fill up potatoes above the milk line. So you want to have enough potatoes so the milk is still not covering the potatoes. Why? Because the potatoes are going to shrink and will be soaking up the milk in order to get cooked. So if you have around this amount of potato in the milk, then this will be perfect. When all the potatoes are in, make sure that the heat is really low. So I'm going to put it actually on number 2, extremely low, because I really don't want to have it burned. Burned means you have to change the pan into a new pan, because the taste of the burnt ground of the pan will destroy the good taste of the potato gratin. What you're now going to do is, ideally with a kind like this kind of spatula, that you always go on the floor checking and take from the floor of the pan the potatoes up. If you take too much milk, what will be the result is that your sauce will be, that is surrounding the potato gratin, will be too thick, so you cannot really make it a nice, compact, thick potato gratin. I realize, for example, now it's almost a little bit too much milk, so I use 3 liters milk for 5 kilograms of potato, and I'm going to take out a little bit of milk in order to have the consistency later perfect when I'm going to put it in the gratin forms, in the Pyrex, to chill down till the next day. I put quite a lot of, or enough salt into the milk, because now the potatoes are going to soak up all the salt, and probably I will have to add a little bit more salt during the process. I'm always tasting the salt, the milk, in order to see how much salt is already in the gratin for later. So now the waiting and the stirring starts, which means I'm gonna be busy for 45 minutes, up to an hour, but I'm not gonna stir all the time. I'm gonna stir maybe every 3, 5, 6, 7 minutes. Since it's very low, it's slowly heating up, so it's an easy job. The gratin has now been slowly simmering for an hour. You can see here there are some bubbles. This is almost too much already, but that's fine if you stir enough. So always go from the bottom, and always scratch from the bottom. It might stick on the bottom. I realize now, after an hour, that the sauce became thick enough. It's not really milk anymore. The starch really came out from the potatoes. The potatoes are not cooked yet, but the starch is in the milk. So now I have to put it down so it does not start to get stuck. If it gets stuck a little bit, like what you might see here, or a little bit like that, that's fine, as long as it doesn't stick and you can really take it away from the floor so it does not get burned to black. It actually gives quite a nice little taste if you have this little brown parts, and giving a little bit of a more intensive taste. So in the last hour, what I did is I salted a little bit more, and I gave a little bit of more muscat, but not too much. So the recipe that I gave you before is pretty accurate. So now what I'm gonna do is I keep this amount of milk or sauce. If it should get too thick, then I can still add a little bit of the milk that I took out before. But generally speaking, this is the right consistency that you want to have. If it gets more drier, it will burn much quicker on the ground of the pan. If it's too liquid, then in the end it will be not a potato gratin but more of a potato soup. So now that is a pretty good time, and I do believe that they will need another 20 minutes to slowly simmer to the perfection. Now after more or less 2 hours of very slow simmering, you can see the consistency. It's really creamy, it's really compact almost, and this is the moment where you can test it. If it has this consistency, the milk, where you can take, for example, about 1 piece on your big spoon, and then if it has still, you can push with the spoon inside, and if it's easier to break, so it's not really crunchy anymore like a raw potato, but it can still have a little bit of a bite, so it's not entirely cooked, then it's a good moment to take it out. Of course, you can also try one to see if it is cooked. It's still quite bitey, so it tastes softer than an apple, but not as fresh as a potato anymore. So you could leave it a little bit more, but it does not have to be cooked entirely, because you're going to put it into the oven one more time. It's not yet a gratin, this is just the base basically. And with this base, tomorrow, so because it has to first chill down, tomorrow we will work on it to finish it and to put it in the oven one more time for another half an hour. And after this half an hour, the potatoes will be cooked and compact enough, so it's really a good dish that you can add on your plate that looks great in a nice form, but I will tell you how this is going to be done later. After having it cooked good enough, I have put it into those Pyrex gratin plates. I have now 3 of those, and for tomorrow, after having it chilled, it will be much more compact. I'm gonna use this ring just to give it a form. You'll see. I will do that in the next short video tomorrow and add it to this video. After the potato gratin has been cooling down for a night, we're gonna use these rings to make portions that are very presentable on a table. Just place it like this. If it's cooked enough, you can push it down. If it is not yet entirely full, you can take a little bit from the side and put it into that ring. So you push the ring a little bit down like this. With a spatula, you can place it here. Take away the spatula, and then take some bacon. And you wrap it, maybe 2 pieces of bacon around it, like that. As tight as possible, but just make sure that the bacon doesn't break. And then you can take this entire piece and put it on a Pyrex on a baking form. And you can do that with as many as you want. One of these rings is 1 portion. In case that you are having vegetarian versions, you can take, for example, zucchini, and take the mandolina and make very thin slices. And the widest one you can use as well to wrap it around. So what I'll do, like before, I'll take one of those rings, fill the ring up with the potato gratin. If you push it a little bit out and you squeeze out the sauce, that's also fine. Put it like this ready here. And then you could take some of the nicer ones that are entire and wrap it around. It's a little bit of a minuscule work. You have to be very careful so they don't break. If you think you want to make it more secure, especially the zucchini, then you can also add toothpick on both sides where they are connected, like this, so it stays a bit more compact in the oven when you gratinate it. When all those bacon and zucchini rounds redondos are done, I do the last part, which is cheese on top of each. So you can use, for example, Gran Padano cheese to just cover the top to actually get it gratinated really nicely and brown in the oven. As you can notice, now I'm wearing gloves, so unfortunately, even to me, sometimes this happens. With the mandolina before, when I was cutting the zucchini, then I was cutting myself even a little bit on the thumb. Yes, it happens to the best of us. So, put cheese everywhere, and then it can go to the oven. So that's about 3 layers. And we're starting with around 180 degrees dry air. After 45 minutes, let's find out. After 45 minutes in the oven with 160 to 180, let's find out how it looks like. Oh my goodness. Yes, the bacon didn't really keep all its form. That is not ideal, but it still looks pretty nice. How about the vegetarian one? Okay, so with the toothpicks, it's much more in form. It stays in the form. Beautiful. I'm gonna take them out now, cool them down a little bit, or you can actually serve them right away on plates. Enjoy your meal.